All right, we have that matchup, a bit of a UK showdown here between Resolve and BTXL. Resolve, the new boys on the block in the NLC, with a roster that you'll probably come to have recognized if you've watched a lot of the UKLC, as well as some familiar faces at the NLC level like Achu and Fastlane as well. And then BTXL, European Masters finalists and also champions of the NLC. Clearly, just in terms of accolades over the spring split, the toughest competition that we have in our entire tournament. And Resolve, kind of like the rookies coming in, it's a big ask for them to kind of take that down. But they have got some very, very skilled players, or because I know you know a lot of them well. For new viewers, what should we look towards with Resolve in terms of any key players to keep our eyes on?
So, I mean, they have a player who I would like to highlight, but unfortunately, counterpart is probably who Trouble would like to highlight on XL. So
I knew you wanted to talk about Soft Hawks. Take it away.
I think Soft has been sort of a breath of fresh air in terms of UK junglers. I think he had a really good debut when he was playing for Tricked in the NLC. He looked really solid, and they were a formidable team. And during the time on Resolve in the UKLC, he was a big driving factor in sort of accelerating the game and setting that pace. Problem is, they're against XL and they're against Marcoon, which is a big wall to face up against.
Again, I like that you highlight that. And also Soph is like one of the few Zac players that I know that has picked up Zac before the current meta. And in this meta, it fits absolutely beautifully. Zac is actually, his damage is like broken with the new Frostfire and anything. So we could, if anyone could pull it out, it would potentially be Soph. Running towards the other side, though, with Marcoon, again, last split, he was just not contested. There was not a single jungler that would contest him, that would put him down, that would set him behind the CS, that would set him behind in levels. It was pretty much an experimentation ground, if you will, for Marcoon to see how far he can go, with how creative he can be, with all the 5-head pathing, with how he wants to gank. And I believe that going through EU Masters and coming here, he's that much better. And Soph here is a really good opponent to prove that he can actually counteract that.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, it's the matchup to keep our eyes on. I'm also kind of excited to see Achu versus the bot lane duos against each other, because Achu, a very veteran AD carry player that's had a lot of highlight moments in the NLC, but Deadly, I think a lot of people putting him as the best AD carry in our tournament. And it looks like we've got the picks and bans already through, and you can see Arome first picking up that Lee Sin, has that flexibility, but we expect it to be either mid or top for the most part. And Varus, as Denboxney said, one of the strongest AD carries out there right now. But things like Tristana are still available, for instance. So some of the other high-tier AD carries are still on the board.
Yeah, unlike the games we had before, we actually haven't seen any AD carries banned there. It's still Resolve getting their choice pick. And then on top of that, Achu is a player who likes to lean on mages, and the Lethality Varus has more of a mage playstyle, so very much suits him. But I think this Lee Sin first pick is going to be really popular. We saw it in the game before, and it's a fact that pick it, it's a strong pick, you have flexibility, it really cements that. And then the answer from Resolve, I'm not super fond of this Olaf pick. It can definitely do a lot of work in the early skirmishing, but essentially, you don't know that the Lee Sin's going jungle, and the Olaf is likely to be going jungle for yourself. We did see a little bit of Olaf top from Adam in EU Masters. I'm not sure if that's a Kalem thing, but ultimately, I think that having Lee Sin and Udi are super strong for XL.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that the Olaf here is also a flex pick to follow Lee Sin wherever he chooses to go, whether it is in the jungle or it is in the top lane. Obviously here, it is still an open flex, because you could end up going mid lane, and you definitely don't want to have an Olaf in the mid lane for the set of Resolve. But all in all, if you look at the core setting for BTXL, they're doing the same thing that they did in EU Masters, minus right now, they don't have to prioritize Deadly, because Deadly can experiment with whatever ADC is left. Because here, again, for BTXL is the experimentation ground moving forward for EU Masters again. So they have a really strong core duo with an S tier laners as Lee Sin. They've got Engage, Disengage with Leona and Udyr, and they're pretty much chilling.
Braum, a pretty solid pickup if you're trying to disengage them and peel backwards, like you do have that option, and has that ability to go and find engage opportunities, those to Resolve, lock in what we think is their bot lane. I mean, there could be some crazy mid-Varus flexes coming out. It's not something I've seen in a very long time, but it is clearly something that I guess could make sense. Lee Sin, Udyr, and Leona. So actually locking in Advian's Leona early on. Now, I imagine, we see some AD carry bands starting to come through here from Resolve. If you're XL, where are you targeting now? Are you trying to limit any potential bad top lane matchups or mid lane matchups that the Lee Sin could go into?
I think personally targeting mid would be a good idea because the Udyr having strength here, you're relying on being able to find priority of your mid laner. I think shutting down Chimera's pool, who tends to lean more towards mages, would be pretty favorable. I'm not too sure on this Leona third pick as well. You've already given one of the stronger AD carries over the side of Resolve, and then you essentially give them counter pick on support. It didn't necessarily need to be done. I feel like they could have taken AD carry. They would have avoided these bans in the second rotation. So not the biggest fan of this, but I guess this is Adrian wanting to play that aggressive play style and look for skirmishes, because so far, I look at Olaf Braum, that's a really strong skirmish-based jungle support duo.
And I really like what Resolve are doing here. They're eliminated Ezreal, who can stay alone in the bot lane, which will allow Advian to roam, which is a style we don't necessarily typically see BTXL pull out. And they also take Hatrix's Akali out of the game, which is the champion that can very easily reach the backline together with the Lee Sin, together with the Leona. So they're trying to eliminate as much safety as well as backline access as they can. Kaisa is still one of the books that's in and available. Tristana is one of the books that's up and available. They both can play the kite game. They both can play the all-in game. So technically, BTXL still have the tools to do whatever they want. They still have the Jinx, which is something that they massively prioritized playing here so far.
I think Victor, kind of what we expect from Chimera. He is more of a mage player, even though there's things available like, I mean, I don't think you take the Lucian in this situation, don't have the AP, but ultimately is very much in his wheelhouse. And now we get to see where the side of BTX will round out things. Seraphine coming in is a pretty interesting one. I actually think Seraphine Leona is a really strong bot lane if they wanted to piece it up there. It really comes down to what they're looking to do. And with the Jace coming in, there's technically a lot of room for flexibility. I estimate, though, this is going to be Seraphine bot, Lee Sin mid, and then having the Jace in the top lane. But quite sort of different to what you typically see in terms of your standard AD carry compositions, but a lot of skirmishing power with great support from the Seraphine.
Yeah, we'll carry on, Trouble. You go.
The thing is, when you have a lot of melee champions such as Lee Sin, Udyr, Leona, Jace changes into melee form to do a bunch of damage as well. Having a Seraphine that will completely keep you moving fast, healing you, shielding you, giving you that extra power. It's like a Sona on steroids in this composition. And honestly, recently buffed as well. Moonstone and Staff of Flowing Water were rebuffed as well. So it gives a lot of power to this champion, and we saw it banned previously today as well. So on the other hand, you have Resolve that they're trying to make engages work, with Olaf who's unstoppable, with the Varus engaging. You've got the Olaf coming in as well, and then you have an Ergo that's going to try to get some flanks. Flanks will not matter. With all these heals and shields, when Seraphine is clearly in game, they won't matter because these guys are bruisers, the Udyr and the Lee Sin. They don't fall fast. And with all the help and the peeling from the Seraphine and the Leona, they should technically be immortal.
I'm kind of excited. This feels like a relatively experimental draft as well from BTXL. And do you know what I love about Lee Sin heading to lane? You're starting to get players who probably haven't played much Lee Sin in their life starting to have to play those high-level Lee Sin mechanics. It's just interesting to see that kind of flexed outside the jungle as well. And some players picking it up well and some players not. But on Hatrix, I think he's been, especially since his Akali performances in the European Masters, really been stepping up as someone that we didn't really consider a super high mechanical player. He's actually showing that he is. Like, he's showing that he's got that in his wheelhouse, and that's really important as well, to have that extra facet in your kit. It looks like, I'm hearing we've got a last-minute sub coming into the Colorcaster role. I believe Foxdrop's joined the broadcast with Hitbrain, so I might be Hitbrain and Foxdrop. I'm going to hand it over.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Caster Desk. I am so disappointed you're not in the hat, Gulborg. Foxtrot. Which one are you?
No one gave me a sign where we're going to be doing Foxtrot. I'm not even in my room. I'm in an office, all right? I had to... What? How was I supposed to make deal with that? I didn't even have to glass it. I had nothing.
Yeah, do the voice.
What voice?
Give us your impression. The Foxtrot voice. What voice?
Remember last time you gave the Foxtrot voice, think of it something along the, how you doing, Lightfield? That was like kind of the sounds you made last time.
I mean, that's pretty close. That's that. You sound just like him. There we go. Foxy, I'm sorry, mate. You got to give your YouTube channel over now. The Bond guy's taking it. We are moving into our next game of the day. There has been a slight pause, I believe, unfortunately. So that gives us a bit more time to mess around on camera because apparently we are professional.
Of course.
Gulborg, before we go completely off the rails, I want to get your thoughts on this draft and what you're liking, what you're disliking here.
Yeah, so once again, I think a Braum pick is coming in clutch. Like, there's a lot of people who wants to go in there, even Udyr, if he wants to get in melee range, like you get hit by Winter's Bite. Victor is about hitting that Q into the audio tag. You got, of course, your AD carry, you want to proc it off. So I like the Braum pick. Plus, the Braum shield can actually disengage from the Seraphine ultimate, so it won't be extended after hitting that shield. So there is some ideal scenarios where it can come down to execution in some of them, but I will say at the same time as well, you need to be watching your summoner spells if you are resolved. This Udyr, he's going to get ahead of the tempo. Olaf clears fast, Udyr clears even faster, and if you're out of position, if he forces that flash, there's a lot of damage to come in from the top side of BTXL. Yes, they're full AD, but I don't think it's going to matter too much when the damage number of Lee Sin is just as high as they are right now, and the extra damage you get from the Jace passive when changing forms.
Yeah, exactly. So we are having a few technical issues, unfortunately. I mean, it wouldn't be the NLC without it, as
How dare you say that?
My observer stream has just crashed, so I know that we're having technical problems right now. So I'm going to ask you another question. How cold was it when you fell in the ocean?
It was 10 degrees and we had to, right. So no, because water feels like 10 degrees when you walk outside with clothes, that's fine. 10 degrees when you're in wet, cold water and the wind is blowing when you get up is horrible. And what you don't take into consideration was that Max, our producer, one take is not enough. You need to do it multiple times. So after having gone into water one time, I had to get up again, had to stand 5 meters above the water.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looked quite high.
It was 5 meters. It hurt. Like, usually the rule is you have to do 3 shots of footage. But after the second one, I was like, I can't do it. It hurt so much. My back was absolutely destroyed. And I kid you not, like I had marks like all over my body on the back of it because I'd just been landing. Yeah, it was horrible.
I'm amazed because when you fall into the ocean, it's obviously got the waves on it, so it kind of breaks up the flow a little bit. Because normally when you belly flop or slap into water, normally it's when it's quite taut and quite still, like a what's the word, like a pool. I don't know how I forgot the name for a swimming pool, but a swimming pool, because the water's a bit more. That's why I am jumping all over the place. I haven't spoken for a month. I'm gonna be real with you. I've just sat in a box for the last month. Typically, a swimming pool, when you use it for diving, you see that the water is like vibrating a little bit because they kind of have like a semi-wave machine, and that's just to kind of take away some of the tension on the water. So when the diver hits the water, they don't belly flop on their hands and stuff, so it doesn't hurt as much. There you go, a bit of science from me. Apparently, I know more about diving than I do League of Legends.
Well, the thing is, because we weren't sure if the Fnatic t-shirt was going to show, so we're like, oh, you should wear your Fnatic mask that I had as well. And as soon as I got off the water, I was just waterboarding myself because I was trying to breathe. Like, my stomach just hurt because the mask it's wet. And he was
like, salt water as well.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I felt so nasty.
I felt so sick.
So nasty.
Luckily, we did that shot the last. So it was not the worst. It was a really fun experience, but the worst part was the people watching. They were like, "Oh, are you filming a TikTok?" And I'm
like, Max, our producer, is a psychopath. He made you do that. He's an actual psycho.
It was my idea. He was just there to film it. Like me and Max. I don't know. I don't know why I came up with it, but I did. And
were you drunk?
Yes.
It was like a fever dream. I'm not gonna lie, that whole video was like a fever dream to me. Good news, we're not gonna have to throw to a break. We are ready to go. The game has sorted out all of its technical issues and we are getting ready to go onto the Rift. There was a brief moment where we were sweating a little bit. We might have to remake the draft, but we don't. Everything's good and we're getting ready to go into our third game of the day. And what's nice about the new format is that's only the middle game. There's still 2 more games after this, 5 games a day. Alrighty, so I've forgotten what the hell you said about the draft. So, Goldborg,
I'll
give me the TLDR.
No, I want to give you. Let's throw some storylines in here because this is like one of the first, probably not one of the first one, but this finally feels like 2 UK teams going up against each other. I know there's not too many UK players on the side of BTXL, but they do have the branding, they do have Deadly, and then Resolve finally as the secondary team coming in. Fast-legged, soft, Chimera. Like a lot of UKLC players has been like, well, how has it taken so long for people to get in here? We saw what Resolve was able to do in the UKLC and how scary they looked. They weren't able to follow up through that in the Telia Masters, but this is all 3 UK players that a lot of people can get behind. And if you are an UK fan, I think you should support this because it's really awesome to finally see these players get up here. But I will say though, they've not been done fair. They're going up against like the strongest team we have in the league, the second strongest teams of last year's EU Masters. So the pressure is definitely onto them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy to see Chimera here as well. I mean, I'm really happy to see, you know, Soft and Fast Legged as well. Obviously, I'm always gonna have a place in my heart for all the UK players, but Chimera's kind of been, I think, one of the mid laners who's been a little bit slept on as far as the UK guys go. He's kind of been in Division 2 for a long time in the UK LC and leagues below.
Oh no.
And his team are invading right now. They are going to be able to take away this red buff, and we'll see whether or not there's just going to be a cross map here, or if they're just going to split the map. We'll see what the game plan is. But yeah, Chimera as a player, I'm really happy to see here. He's been kind of one of our standout mid laners in the UK scene for a little while. So it's a tough. He's got a trial by fire. He's going up versus hat tricks to start us off here. We'll see how he fares.
Yeah, and if you didn't really see it, well, they have split the map here, and the intel should have come through from the side of BTXL. So Soft most likely going to make his way to his own blue buff now, and the same with Macoon. I think it's most likely that we'll see him moving towards the red side of Resolve here, and they're just going to be splitting the map as we're calling it here. That's going to benefit the bot side of Resolve. They can just play as aggressive as they want to. They can try and punish this Seraphine pick, and at the same time, Urquhart should be relatively safe up towards this top side against any early ganks that should come out. It's a range versus range. It's hard to punish, hard to make your HP bar go into a point where we can call it lethal range. And now Soft.
Oh, he's done the old switcheroo. Has been spotted out by the ward, but Kalim's also coming in, and Markoon has been spotted out. Going for the disdain, gets himself the flip. Markoon flashes away and has to just bolt out of there. I was really smart there from Resolve.
That's the thing, Soft just getting a lot in the jungle here. Down in the bottom, some small exchanges, but nothing but blows being dealt here. And that's the thing. He went up, he got his wolf camp, and then he forced Macoon out of the way. The thing with a split map is that the team that initiates this is pretty much always going to have the advantage because they've already cleared out your jungle. He even left one Raptor for Macoon to clear. So right now, that Raptor camp you see, that's not actually there. That's just a small Raptor. So that means like the level 2 for Macoon's camp to come out is going to be prolonged. Soft can go back to his scuttle now. He can go up and clear. Yeah, there you can see the little Raptor there. Soft can go back to the map here. Clear up the scuttle, clear his blue buff, clear the Grom, and he should just be a level ahead of him, really.
Yeah, Soft has definitely set himself up for a nice start to this game as the bot lane is still playing with the fact that they have kind of got a map split. It wasn't a strict map split, but they're definitely playing with that at the moment. They're constantly shoving Deadly and Advian in. It looks like they're going to try and hold this wave here just in front of the tower. So Melee Minion did take a step forward there.
Yeah, trying to go for an early recall here. Does pick up the boots and longsword, and as soon as those recalls come through, well, you gotta push fast here. Does luckily have the relic shield for the side to clearing up the cannon. You don't clear waves as fast in the early game when you're playing Seraphine. You don't have that 80 damage. Your spell's not doing too much yet, but they will be able to crash it and they will be able to recall for themselves here now. Taking a look onto the jungle, as you can see, Macoon recalled, got back with a ruby crystal. Soft recalled, got back with a pickaxe. So you can clearly tell there's a difference between the two junglers right now and the gold that they have.
Yeah, there's the gold for you.
It's actually
the same. It's actually the same.
That's crazy. Well, I guess it just comes down to when they recalled then. Soft got to clear up a bit more before Macoon did. You can see the inventory here. Macoon is sitting on 500, but they're out there some counter jungling themselves. Macoon, no flash, so could be dangerous.
Smited a little early there. As the gravity field comes down, Chimera lands himself the kick onto Soft as Soft's going to get the axe off for the slow. Here comes Advian, though, with a flash to the Zenith Blade, and here is the turnaround. Soft flashes away, but the Ignite is ticking, and that is first blood to Advian.
Here's the first blood. Does go over to BTXL. Nice run from Advian, being the first one to move, and Fastleg trying to respond, but he's just too late to the party. And with that, BTXL some good rotations, and this is why they're so good. They may be falling behind in the early game, but they're finding creative ways to get back from the pressure of all places in the bottom lane without the end.
A little bit sad that Advian was the one that got the gold, but ultimately not really going to sneer at that, as, like you were kind of mentioning, the jungle was a bit of a pressure point for them. Taking out Sloth is just going to alleviate a bit of space for Markoon, who's now going to be able to keep himself relevant. The whip has been finished up for Sloth, who'll probably be building towards, I assume, the Stride Breaker, but it could also go Gore Drinkers. Hatrix just going to jump into Chimera's face, and Hatrix doing a lot of damage to him when he's able to get close and personal.
And here's the thing, you
Now-
can already see it on the minimap. Advian, he's moving before the plays even happen. Fastlane coming in after, and they could be looking to fight here. Soft, no flash.
Yeah, no flash, no ultimate. Hex Flash is going to get cancelled by Advian as Fastlane and Achu had made their way over. Kalim actually does find out Arome and gets him with the Disdain flip. Purges on inside the minion wave, and not really going to be too much threat right now. There's not a lot of mana onto Kalim.
Yeah, I mean, Kalim doing a good job here. Arome usually one of the hardest top laners to play against, not falling too far in behind. And Kalim is a new addition to a league. He came from, he's been playing at Mad Lions Academy back in 2018, actually. Like, he's been on Zero Tenacity in Serbia, which is one of their prominent teams as well. He's been doing really well. And usually we see him on these kind of carry champions as well. And yes, he is a bit down, but Arome on the Jays, obviously a matchup where you expect him to be the one to push in most of the time. And while we're talking about lanes being pushed in, the pressure from Resolve and the jungle pressure is going to net them the first Drake here. So Infernal Drake is going to be the first one out. Mountain Drake afterwards.
Resolve made their way back towards the spot lane, just looking to catch himself a little bit of farm. So what do we think the game plan is right now? As Hatrix is just going to throw out the ultimate, Chimera is going to throw out the ultimate just to try and clear through this wave nice and quick. But what do you think is going to be the game plan right now for Resolve? They got that first dragon. What do they need to do next?
Yeah, so the thing is for Resolve is they actually have a control mage. Yes, there is going to be the Seraphine, but we talked about it. The execution-based composition you have with the Braum and can block some of the Seraphine ultimates coming into it. We're looking for Resolve to find the items on that backline damage, having that semi-front line, and then actually be able to just through positioning pilot these fights. And we saw what Lethality Warriors have done before. Like, if you can be the first one on the objective, the poke you get from the Warriors, the Victor Laces, you can be creating so much space between you and your enemy to the point where you poke them so much down that they can't even fight. And that's kind of what we're looking for with Resolve. You want to get those back, your carries ahead, and you want to make sure that your opponent can't really play the game or start a team fight.
What we are seeing from BTXL, though, is a really solid jungle mid duo constantly playing around the map together, and they are going to pick up the return objective for themselves. No lane swap necessary, as BTXL will pick themselves up that Rift Herald now in the pocket of Markoon. We'll see where he decides to go and use that. Might be a little hard to use it mid lane. It is a Victor. Victor typically pretty well known for his wave clear. So maybe Markoon might look for something in the bot lane or the top side, look to try and pick up a tower, or it might just be used for plates.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can even use it, yeah, just as you said, like just for plays if you want to. But I think a lot of it is going to come down to some of the map movements once again. BTXL really good at doing that. I think if they can push in some of the lanes again, get a man advantage with Advian roaming up, you could still be looking to dive a Victor in the bot lane. I think you want to be skirmish heavy here. Soft, past hit level 6. But still no flash onto this Olaf, and that's crucial. As I talked about earlier, BTXL, the champions you see right here, a lot of snap engage, you can go for the insect. That's the Udyr stun in general, the Deadly with his ultimate. I think what you need to be looking for here is create some skirmishes around this Herald and win them with the CC or potential man advantage. As you can see here, Deadly pushed in bottom lane, moving up, getting the vision, and this is just what BTXL wants to do.
Well, Markoon's going to pick up the crab, and this is going to be that vision you were talking about. Around this bottom side of the map, we've got 2 minutes until the dragon comes up, so a little bit of time. So the teams need to think about that, but Advian is just slowly shifting this vision even further into the jungle. And Chimera has got flash, so can play a little bit careful as Hatrix looks to jump in onto him. He throws out the gravity field. They do look to put him back as Chimera throws out the storm, flashes away to safety, and the turnaround is here. They've got the slows, they've got the lockup, and that's Soft finding himself the kill. BTXL just getting a little bit too greedy for that pick.
Yeah, and really nice by Resolve. It's basically all they need to do. Just chill a bit here. Chimera had the flash available, and we talked about it. BTXL, they want to force a skirmish around this Herald, but that was just too overforced. Hatrix kicking in Chimera with the flash, Solar Flare coming down, but that's just going to be easy to flash from Chimera. Like, it was just good positioning, good follow-up from Fastlane. Had he not been there, could have been a different situation. So, good hovering from the side of Resolve, and I think Soft is mostly up here just to help Kalim get a recall here. You can see he's really struggling with his HP bar, and Arome with Markoon behind him is just feeling confident to go up and remove some of this plating. Remember, Herald is still a potentially, and Caleb, he's getting really low. Might be forced to TP back here.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be the play for Caleb. Goes for the
Patrick's moving
teleport,
top.
but Soft is actually also recalling here, so it may... Oh, no, he's not. Okay, cool. It's about to say, it looked like they were on the verge of just sacking this as... Soft's going to hold the wave and make sure that this doesn't go down as Caleb able to dodge away on that shot blast. Not going to lose his fresh refill of health. Mara needs to be careful versus Hatrix. Has now upgraded his Death Ray.
But what that dive will give you is that you'll have TP advantage now. And basically what that means is that you can never start a skirmish as Resolve down as this bottom lane. You can already see behind him, the TP is there!
Yeah, that's going to be the Zenith Blade going wide, but they flash, they solar flare, the flash comes out from a Chew. Everybody has made their way in. The Chain of Corruptions into the Charm, into the Cleanse. Kick lands onto Fastleg, and Fastleg now looking for the turnaround. Remember, no teleport available for Kalin. Deadly very, very low, and the poke is coming in from a Chew. The flash into the knockup, but the flashes are going to come down. Arome able to jump away as the teleport has been used by Chimera, trying to find that last little scrap of damage, but unable to do so. Soft now stepping in forwards, forces Arome to flash. A lot burnt, and nobody goes down. Resolve just get all of the free time to take tower plates in the bot and the top.
And once again, it's just a bit overforced from XL. I was beginning to make the point how Resolve can never really skirmish around bot side because you have a TP advantage, but you kind of need your opponent to overstay first before you just barrel in with all those TPs. And it seems like XL is just limit testing a bit. We remember the first time NLC came around, BTXL has talked about how they didn't lose a single game in the regular season in the UKLC, and they wanted to be a bit more limit tested. This might be what we're looking at here. I'm not too sure, but for sure a BTXL who's not looking as cool, calm, and collected as they usually are.
Yeah, coming off that break, coming off that finals in a little bit more style here. As Hatrix jumps in onto Chimera. Chimera doesn't really have anywhere to go. No flash available to him. The Chaos Storm going to cook Hatrix slightly, but Hatrix will be able to survive. 3 members just collapsed onto Chimera and he loses his life.
Man, Advian really wants to have the best KDA this split. What is going on? 2 kills onto this Leona now, and that kill should have for sure go over to one of his laners here, but does maintain a gold lead once again and does maintain map pressure. And in the end, that is some of the most important stuff you can get out of it as well. Now, plating will fall in a bit, but it's not like they've been done any drastic plays with this plating in general. Like mid lane, plating has gone a bit down, but towards that top side, Romi's been getting it. But so far right now, I think both teams are happy with where they are. Actually, except BTXL, they might have wanted to get a bit more out of their skirmishes, but Resolve, with the scaling we talked about in their carries, they're perfectly fine with this scenario.
Absolutely. Let's take stock of where we are on the item department right now. So Achu got the buildings of his next item, either the Prowler's Claw or the Dustblade. Probably going to be that Prowler's Claw like we saw from Den earlier on in the day. Got the Stride Breaker finished off onto Kalin. We got the Leandries on Chimera. And over on the side of BTXL, they only have that Forge Fire Cape right now for them, so bit of a way until they get themselves onto their next items.
Yeah, but skirmish could resolve around this Rift Owl that will be spawning soon. Chimera, no flash, remember?
Yeah, they're jumping in, they're looking for the turnaround. Hatrix almost locked down as they're chasing underneath that tower, and that is just going to be Soft going absolutely ludicrous. Able to take him down. Chains going down and a Chew, not going to be able to find the kill. Almost with the chains. It's not going to be quite there.
Once again, a bit of an overstep there. Chimera didn't have the flash, so they decided to try and go onto him, but Hatrix going way too low, and it's really easy for Salt to just run him down with the Ragnarok. They get the kill, and they get the Rift Owl. And this should net them some pressure. We talked about in a previous game how with Rift Owl, if you get the second Rift Owl in behind, it's very hard to utilize, but Resolve this time around, if they can find pickups like this, get a kill, they should be able to crack open some towers.
Kelim goes for the sustain backwards, flashes away. Marcoon comes in with that bear stance locked up, and they are going to take him down. Marcoon cashes in on the kills. The Rift Herald was picked up by Sof.
But I guess Rome really wanting to make sure that he still got an impact into this game. He's been, as we talked about, just farming away, getting some plating this time around. facilitates a killer to himself. But in this replay, we will be taking a look at what happened in the mid lane. Can't really blame them here. Good vision around for Resolve, though. They're waiting in the pink ward, kind of baiting them out to start this fight, and Soft just flashing forward onto them. Seraphine ultimate blocked by Fastleg, once again solidifying how good this Braum pick even is. And then Archu with the Chains of Corruption, forcing out the cleanse. And then Kalem, he thought he was safe. They just got the Rift Herald. He thought BTXL had backed off, but I mean, surprise, they didn't.
Surprise, you are dead.
I guess so.
We're only 16 minutes into this game. There's only been 5 kills. I don't know why, but it feels like there's been way more action than that. I think it's just been lots of scrapping with no deaths.
That's the thing, right? And it's like it's the way they're posturing all the time as well. We get the map split, we get the setup for some of the dives, they pull it off, we go into counter jungle, and all the time they're exchanging blows with each other, but no one's really finding the time to actually finish it here. And now map rotations are coming through. You can see Resolve moving their bot lane into the mid lane, putting Chimera down in towards their spot side, keeping the solo laners in a 1-3-1 composition here, which is going to be good for gaining that mid lane priority. So you can always just get mid lane priority for Drake spawning in 50 minutes or 50 seconds perhaps.
And this will be a really big one if they can pick him up. As a Chu actually Prowler's Claw forwards, misses the Chains of Corruption, unfortunately. That's a big tool down now for this next Dragon, as the Riftel's going to get summoned 30 seconds up. Does give a bit of free time for Resolve to try and step up some vision. Teleports are coming in from Arome to try and defend as the charge goes out. And Resolve didn't really gain much from that Rift Herald.
No, they didn't. Hatrix have back now as well. He just have TP. There is a deep ward in the jungle if he wanted to go for a flank position. Doesn't have flash yet, but have picked up a pink ward so he can ward hop. But looks like both teams is wanting to fight for this Drake, and understandably so. It is the third Drake for Resolve, and BTXL, they want to stop this at any cost, but this is where they want to be with their team composition. BTXL needs to get poked down so they can't come in with a clear engage, and that's what they're looking for here.
Well, there's the Glacial Fissure. They're going to look to lock down Marcoon as he is pulled back into the Fear Beyond Death. Kalem secures the kill after constant camping and attention thrown into him. Gets himself a little bit of revenge as XL are just going to try and answer out with a mid lane turret. Resolve might just have to sacrifice this one as they pick themselves up their third dragon. They are one away from that Ocean Soul. And XL starting to show some cracks here.
And that's the thing, like, we talk about BTXL, wow, they're not really performing today as we know of them, but Resolve coming in as a new team with, of course, maintaining some of the players from the beforehand Resolve roster in the UKLC, but really playing up to par with BTXL, being ahead in the objectives right now on Soul Point. Yes, they're behind in gold, but it doesn't feel like that when you watch them skirmish around these objectives.
Yeah, and I mean, you've also got an Olaf and Urgot. I'm going to love that Cloud Soul. Getting in the thick of it, especially when it's the Gore Drinker as well on the Olaf. It's going to make their life really hard for the side of XL to deal with these two as they slowly get tankier and tankier and just gives them more sustain. Kalem actually looking for hat tricks here. Is able to slow him down.
Still a lot of damage.
A fair amount of damage to him.
And this is going to sound crazy as well, but this is going to be Resolve's first tower of the game. Once again, it haven't felt like that. It felt like they've been in the driver's seat with the turrets, with the objectives, with the movement, but could be a choke point here, but Deadly decides not to use the ultimate. Of course, Fastleg does have that shield and stuff, of course, with his own Ragnarok to get rid of any CC. And with that, they just get the turret. They reset, and they can be looked to getting the other turrets here, but they got other plans topside.
Kalem's in trouble. Caught out by the Sonic Strike. Solar Flare connects, and he's pretty strong, but he's not going to be that strong. Hatrix takes him down. Kalem just a little bit too overextended here.
Yeah,
the Rift Herald now not going to be spawning up because I'm an idiot, and it's actually Baron spawning up in 4 seconds time.
Yeah, Kalem didn't really get the memo there where we talked about resetting and then afterwards getting out on the lanes. But yeah, Baron has spawned, but Kalem with TP and only 15 seconds to him, I don't think that BTXL is going to take their chances onto that purple one. But Chimera doing exactly what he needs to. The mid lane priority coming through. You can see Deadly there, and Arome not having any vision for the bot lane of Archu and Fastlane. That was just in the mid lane. Needs to back up a bit. Yes, they went topside, but that's kind of the pressure they need to be dealing with. They don't have very much vision on the map right now, and that gives Resolve so much to play around with this map state.
Is it British players that are the bane of BTXL right now? They lost to
They
X-Man
will be.
in the European Masters Finals. Their 3 UK players right now are having a pretty decent showing versus them right now, but Arome is able to pick up this tower in the bottom side of the map.
I mean, the 5-man riddle Danish roster got rid of BTXL the first split of NLC. So either it's UK or it's just 5 Danes. I'll have the audience decide.
The teleport's actually going into the top lane. Looks like they're looking for a pick onto a Chew. Chew have to try and
There's a
sprint
flash.
away, but Hatrix can just chase him down. The Chain of Corruption dodges out on the Sonic Strike, misses the Q from the Piercing Arrow, and that's actually a teleport burnt for an ultimate. Resolve are going to be okay with that one.
Yeah, that's very optimistic. It seems like they're starting to want to look for any place, but like even if they get that, maybe they'll be able to pressure the Baron. But at the same time, there is still the risk of Soft just walking in there with the Ragnarok or the lasers from Chimera poking them down. And Drake is spawning in 1 minute now, and that is the real objective here. You want to deny Resolve the Ocean Soul here. They are already having a hard time getting through the Braum, the Urgot, and if you want to get to the carries, you need to be able to kill them. You are basically front to back when you have that Seraphine, the Udyr, the Lee Sin here, so it's going to be rough for BTXL, but this time around, they are first on getting that pressure. They are trying to get in.
Oh no. Fast Leg's in trouble. He's going to get kicked back. That's going to be the Ragnarok use. Fast Leg's down.
And that's exactly what you want to see from them. Fast Leg, they have that flash, decides not to use it, and now BTXL in a position where they'll get the pressure. They should be first on Drake, but at the expense of 3 ultimates, bear in mind. Fastleg is up in 14 seconds, so he will be able to join them for that Drake fight. BTXL pressure is only limited now. Resolve should be able to get back onto this Drake, fight the way back into the pit, and hopefully contest this Drake.
They're looking for it. Remember that Ocean Soul will give them sustain versus Arome's poke. He's just going to miss out on that shot blasters. Piercing Arrows could do a fair amount of damage out from a Chew onto him. There's the chains. They go wide. The Strybreaker gets thrown out. Hatrick's able to jump away to safety, and the Chew's just trying to poke and prod away here with those arrows as Fast Leg makes his way forward. They have got that Encore not on... not available. It's on cooldown right now. So Deadly not really going to be able to offer that. He's just here to shield, and Chimera jumps in with a flash forward, throws out the Chaos Storm. KLM trying to jump a little bit further forward as the axe comes out from Soft and XL. Heal up thanks to the Honey Fruit and that Seraphine. But the poke is still continuing here from Resolve. Chimera's just going to gather a little bit of control in the mid wave as he picks up the Honey Fruit, gets some health back. Kalim just tanking the tower shots. Hatrix is looking for a flank on the long side. There's the Solar Flare, only going to be a slow for the moment. They're trying to buy a bit more space as the Gravity Field will slow XL's advance forward here. Drake, 3,800 health as it goes in for the reset. They've still got a Lee in on that flank, and Resolve's health bars are slowly but surely starting to get taken out as there's the flash, there's the chains, here's the turnaround, but it's not quite enough. Chimera tanks himself a shot blast as Advian is very low HP. Achew's firing out a little bit more damage. 3,000 health on to this dragon as Soft is in the back of the pit. The health bars on both of these teams are just incredibly low. The Charmony lands at the Fast Leg, and Fast Leg losing his life. Now they're looking for a little bit more. Marcoon getting chased onto by Achew. Here's the kick. Here's the follow-up. The dragon has reset once again, but it looks like XL will be able to take this one. Resolve can't hold their nerve, and Arome is looking for a shot blast, looking for one last kill. The Gravity Field will stop him in his tracks.
And that was a really long extended fight, and reason for that was that BTXL was actually playing it really well. They were waiting for their ultimate to return, and it took them everything to stay alive in that pit. Resolve so close to having won that fight just by the poke coming out, but Arome, man, you saw the damage number there. He did work of keeping Resolve at bay and letting BTX live for 5 more minutes at least before the next Ocean Drake is going to be spawning. But you saw how hard that was. It's not an ideal situation for them when they have to group up around these objectives.
Now, picture that being like the Baron Pit or something, and Resolve have the Ocean Soul. All that poke that Arome does semi gets negated by the sustain they'll get off that. So actually really, really scary for XL to give up that soul, which means they have to contest every dragon from here on out. We can see that the Serpent's Fang has now been finished up on to Achew, so he'll be able to deal somewhat with the shielding coming in from Deadly. So it does have those tools to work with. You've got the buildings of the Void Staff on Chimera, who's also got the Nullifying Orb. Not Nullifying Orb, Oblivion Orb. for the sustain coming in from Deadly as well. So they got ways to deal with this Seraphine for the moment.
It's not going to be muffed. Like, you need to upgrade those items to get the full value out of the healing reduction. And, I mean, you do have the Serpent Fang, but right now it's looking like BTX will want to fancy their chances.
Well, Chu's going to flash away instantly, throws out the chains. Caitlin's onto the flank. There's a teleport coming in, and now Soft looking to chase. They're going to go for the flip. Everybody's low. Chimera loses his life already. Arome now looking to try and jump into the middle of the fight. Caitlin's going to lose all of his health bar here. It's only a couple of members standing. Fastlane jumps out to safety. It's a double kill into the mid right now as Hatrix cashes in and Resolve lose 3.
That shot calling was so good for BTXL. The fact that they were getting a 3-man charm in the background and still all decided to go onto the TP because they knew Chimera didn't have flash when he TP'd in there was so good. You could see Resolve thought they had the flank. They thought the TP was okay. But immediately BTXL just punishes it and finds the fight and finds a Baron and finds a way back into this game.
Beautiful stuff there from XL as they take that team fight and the Baron to boot. As, let's just have a look at that again, because like you said, it's just really good taunt, really good shot calling.
Yeah, Deadly there, like finding his first really good ultimate, but as soon as they saw it, it was just like, all right, onto Chimera we go, and you can see Arome with the Serilda's Grotch now, with the amount of damage she's dealing, it's absolutely insane. They're getting slowed, they can't do much as soon as they start getting chased down, so Arome really a nice facilitator on this Jace on the back end of that fight.
All right, it's now on XL to make sure they use this Baron effectively. Dragon coming up in 2 minutes time. They've got the Baron. They can start to kind of grow this gold lead because it has crept up to 8,000 gold. It didn't feel like it was that big, but it now is here. As Arome might find himself getting caught out. Level 16 right now, and he's got his whole team about him. So Resolve actually just going to cool this one off. That shutdown would have been nice, but maybe a little bit too optimistic as Marcoon just going to pick himself up the grab. The thumbs up comes from Soft as he goes in for the reset. Reset coming in now in from Caleb, who's pushed up the top wave to deal with. Do something. Actually, he's not going to go for the reset. He's going to try and match them here. But this is a 5-member XL push with Baron buff versus just one Urgot.
And you can't do much here. You can see they're just grouping up around the waves, which is exactly what they need to do. They can even continue on the next wave, come in here if they want to. They can go towards the mid lane turret and then just replicate exactly what you have here. Yes, you got a lot of turrets on top of on the top side of the map, but that gold right now onto the Urgot at this point just feels like empty gold. You need to find a way back into the fight, and BTXL with the Baron buff is just going to be able to push the lane back out here. 48 seconds as well onto that Cloud. No, why did I say Cloud? You said Cloud earlier.
I said Cloud earlier. I didn't mean Cloud earlier. My brain has farted, okay?
I know. It happens. You know what? I missed your brain.
It's the heat. It's the heat. I don't have any aircon. I'm sitting under a light. It's bloody boiling. My brain doesn't operate. This is why I miss being in Sweden, because it's cold in Sweden.
It's not cold in Sweden right now, though. I'll tell you that much. And it's definitely not cold on the Rift here, whereas, oof, Arome firing out some hot damage right there.
It's hot damage?
You feel that?
You feeling the burn?
Oh, I think that's another thing.
What do you think a shot blast feels like?
Not good.
Yeah, obviously, but like, do you think it's hot? Do you think it's just like, it feels like a big kind of stone ball being thrown at you?
How about you ask Fastleg after that one?
I'll ask Fastleg. He's going to say it hurts. That's all he's going to say is Resolve itching to try and contest this. That Dragon is now alive. They really, really want to get that. It would buy them so much space versus the poke from Arome, who half health is a Chew with a single shot blast over the wall from Fog of War. Chew might have a little bit of sustain to work with, but oh my lord.
Yeah, Macoon just tanking tower for the sake of it. And meanwhile, this is happening. Hatrix in the top side has also pushed in a wave, so they can move from this mid lane, get the inhibitor, move up top side as well, and just try to clean out the entire base here off Resolve. And Resolve trying to find him in that top side. They do still have a lot of damage on the side of Resolve. Do not underestimate the damage from Chimera or Archu when he finally does get his mirror mana, but we are still waiting for those last final components to get to that third item, and that's really where Resolve wants to be. That's when we want to see them go for that finishing nail in the coffin.
Looks like the second dragon is just going to have to be forfeited here by Resolve as XL picking up the pace after that dragon fight earlier. Gold lead, still massive. Brain not big enough to do maths. We can see individual gold though. Big numbers.
Yeah, and the biggest number on the side of a Rome here, you can really see how much damage he is doing. And it's understandable when you see this gold lead here. Really just a lot of gold onto this Jason. We take a look onto the AD carries. Deadly, even on the Seraphine, having more gold on the Archu. Not really something you usually see with Seraphine. You're okay falling a bit behind because your items are so cheap. And Archer here has not had the best time, but he does have finished the third item now. So Archer pretty much at the best spot he's ever going to be for the rest of this game here.
Yeah, Chu, got to make it work, but a lot of people kind of grouping up around this top side of the map for BTXL, and Resolve need to go answer, or else they could just lose that final inhibitor and inhibitor tower. Chimera's going to be the one to go and answer the call. But he's going to have his work cut out for him. Remember, he does do a lot of damage, almost level 16 as well now. Able to output a serious amount of heat. So he's able to hold the wave as the TP comes in. Kalen finds Marcoon, misses him with the flip, and now Hatrix has made his way forward. Kalen has to try and jump away to safety himself as the Chu misses the chains. Chimera, his health bar just disappears. The block comes in from Fastleg as Chimera has to flash, has to heal. Soft will find out Hatrix, and this is a bit of a scrap here. Both of these two brawlers just trying to get as much damage off as possible. Soft will come out of the winner from that fight. Chimera, if he needs another shot blast, he'll just be taken out of the fight as here comes the turnaround. They're looking for it. They're trying to find their opportunity, but they're unable to do so. The health bars are low. The charms are going to land. It's a double kill picked up for Arome. Chimera comes out of stasis and is instantly caught out as Hatrix secures the kill. Resolve only have two, and Achu doesn't have the damage to work with, but he's actually doing a fair amount here. The health bars are a little bit low onto XL. They're able to take this inhibitor.
And with this
Can
final
they close
third
the game?
inhibitor, that's the thing. They should be able to finishing up the game here.
No.
Resolve, they did so well here, but I think there's no way they can keep this defense alive.
Chains are coming out. Chains are spreading, but Arome not going to go down to the tower as the towers all fall down. It's by the books. Every structure in the game will crumble to BTXL. It was a slugfest for them, but they do find themselves the win. 33 minutes on the clock.
But it looked dire. I mean, there was a situation in this game where you really thought Resolve was going to run away with this game.
Yeah, and no, honestly, I think this has kind of been the tale of today, is we've had teams that have had pretty solid early games and then kind of get lost in the mid game, and then that, like, loss, and that kind of, as we put it in the first game, that kind of cold feet kind of just spreads into the late game, and then unfortunately from there, they've not been able to kind of show off. But I think, honestly, Resolve genuinely showed us a really, really good game there, and I'm excited to see how they fare versus the rest of their group, and obviously when we get into the cross groups as well, because they're looking like a pretty formidable team. That was a hard team for them to beat, and they did put on a bit of a performance. But XL, honestly, pretty dominant stuff from them as well. I mean, we can sing praises about Resolve all day, but at the end of the day, that was a 11,000 gold, an 11,000 gold lead for XL, and a pretty clean game. For now, it's time for a break. So we'll be back after this, and the analysts will talk a little bit more about League of Legends, and I'll remember how to do my job, I promise. We'll see you for Game 4.
Welcome back, everybody. XL, I mean, it was a little rocky, not quite smooth sailing, but they ended up getting the win at the end there. I think Resolve definitely surprised them a little bit, especially Soft coming out pretty strong there. But XL kind of found it. They kind of found their groove and got way back into the swing of things. Now, I think before we go any further, we have the pride and joy of the NLC. Realistically, he is. NLC baby, he's popping off in the European Masters. He's one of the jungle prodigies of EU. Am I doing it right, Trouble? Am I doing this correct?
Go on.
Okay,
go on.
Yeah, okay. And he just absolute lord and savior of the NLC. It's Marcoon. Now, actually, Marcoon, given I've got your number one fangirl in the interview, I'm gonna let her open up the questions. So,
all right,
Trouble, go away.
All right, so hello, first of all, and congratulations for
Hello.
since Scandal didn't do it.
Thank you.
My biggest question is, we saw you going from the NLC where you absolutely had a fantastic split last split, and you were up in CS all the time, up in levels. You were coming up with these 5 path things that were coming to fruition every single time. Nothing pretty much failed. You were able to put your chemistry to work. And then when you went to EU Masters, you faced a completely different crowd. It was much tougher. We saw you struggling. So what have you learned from your EU Masters that you're going to adapt coming into this split of the NLC?
I mean, first of all, it's like in EU Master, the games are very high pressure. I don't think like the pressure in like EU Master finals and semis like can't even relate to like let's say NLC finals. So first of all, you start getting used to like really high pressure games that like happened in the EU Master. So that's the first thing I like not learned, but like got more used to playing with it. And I mean, there are some gameplay stuff. Like I've learned a lot during EU Master, especially playing like good opponents. It's really easy to learn stuff. But it's like definitely the pressure thing that like helps the most, I think, in upcoming matches.
Nice. Excandral, up to you.
Yeah, so I'm coming back in now. Marcoon, obviously that game there, you guys committed to trying things out through this split, or are you kind of experimenting a little bit to see what sort of limits you can do and what kind of champions fit you over the course of this split?
We haven't scrimmed too much. Like since EU Master Finals ended so late and like NLC started pretty early, we didn't have a long vacation, so we decided to like take a little bit longer vacation. So we're not fully prepared for the split led. Like we started scrimming like not too long ago, so we're still like figuring out the patch and figuring out the champs, because quite a lot of new champs came to like the meta, especially in like mid and top lane. So like we'll definitely over like the next 2 weeks work on really figuring out the patch, and then we'll find our style and like the champs we want to play. So right now it will look a little bit rough, yeah.
I mean, in the day, it was definitely a comp that we thought was pushing the boat out a little bit just to see what you could do. In terms of
they were an 80 carry short here.
yeah. Well, Seraphine's good in the 80 carry position, but I mean, in terms of your competition, obviously, clearly most people are going to point towards Fnatic Rising again being one of your biggest competitors. But are there any other rosters? Have you looked at any of the other rosters? For instance, like a lot of us are a bit hyped about Galaxy Racer coming in. So have you kind of seen any of the other rosters?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest there. I do not know a single roster other than Fnatic Rising. Like I didn't know who we were playing today, like until 1 hour before. Like I said, we're still starting, and like I have enjoyed my vacation because it was quite a long split, but I have not looked into any of the rosters or like what I think is good and like scouting the enemies. So I don't know, you can ask me that question in like a month and I'll be able to give it. But right
I'll
now,
ask you the same question in a month's time, mate. I'll ask you the same question in a month's time.
Give an answer.
But no, I think there are some good teams. I still think you're clearly the strongest and very likely to the team that people are going to have to beat. But there are some good rosters, like Monk and Galaxy.
I'm looking forward to playing them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to have a really fun split. Marcoon, Lord and Savior of our jungle in the NLC, thanks for joining us, mate, and I hope we'll see you soon.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
I hope I did that justice, Trouble. I was really trying to. I was trying to do
exactly as we rehearsed. Yes.
I was trying to do the MVP level of introductions. Right, Orcs. Now it's time for your turn to do some talking. So please do some talking.
Yeah. So I have a clip to show, and it's a pretty long one, so I'm going to skip through quite a bit. But essentially, just to get it rolling, this is the fight for the 4th dragon, and it was super long, super extended. Essentially, the story of this was that we're consistently seeing a lot of poke coming down from either side, and Achu was actually coming out ahead. I think particularly there's this moment where we see this flash in, and we get this massive Chaos Storm coming down onto Arome and Deadly, and this starts to look favorable for the side of Resolve. And you can see XL are backing away. They're heavily chunked out. And in most situations, comp in this position would look rough, but it all comes down to the Seraphine difference. And you can watch as time starts to pass, they pick up the honey fruit, and then it's just consistent healing throughout. And then eventually, despite the fact that the initial poke came in from Resolve and they had that advantage, as we move along in the clip, poke keeps coming down from the Jace. Oh, that's just wanted to start the clip again. Well, either way, the poke comes down from the Jace, and then XL are actually the ones who are able to come out ahead because of the Seraphine.
And honestly, we mentioned how this is not a typical BTXL composition that we watched, right? Usually Deadly is on a hyper carry, not even like a traditional ADC. It has to be a hyper carry. It has to be something that scales later on in the game for him to carry the game. And this time, yes, he was on a hyper scaling champions to Seraphine, but they were an AD carry, sure, with something that we were memeing. But at the end of the day, it feels like BTXL want to experiment. They want to figure out themselves in this patch. Obviously, we mentioned how a loss is a loss and it really counts now, especially with 3 positions up for grabs when it comes to playoffs. But I think they're in a very safe spot to start experimenting and find themselves again in a brand new patch.
Yeah, and I think you said, I think having vacations is important for pro players, ability to reset and come into a new split. So I'm glad they had that time off to sort of recollect and have a bit of time away from League of Legends as well, because these splits can be pretty intense. If you then go on to European Masters afterwards, you don't actually get that much downtime. So, good for these guys to just take a little bit of a break and unplug. Anyway, we are coming into our 4th game, which won't be our last game of the night, by the way. We have 5 games every day of the NLC split, but we're going to have Dusty versus Singularity as the next one coming your way. So we'll go to a quick break and we'll see you soon.